I rise to adjourn our session today in the memory of William L. Bill Kahrl, a friend who was truly a Renaissance man. He made significant impacts in the areas of public policy, resource management, environmentalism, and conservation. He was a government employee, an historian, a journalist, and consultant, always following his motto, let me help us. Bill passed away in Roseville on July 26th of last year. He was 78. He grew up in Ohio before going to Yale College, where he was a Scholar of the House, as they call it, graduating in 1968. He attended the Yale Graduate School of American Studies and later received a National Endowment of the Humanities Fellowship to Princeton. Bill moved to California in 1969 and immediately became engaged in our state's issues. He joined Marin County environmentalist and later State Senator Peter Baer as a Kahrl Foundation Fellow to work on the revolutionary Save Our Seashore petition drive in 1969. This work convinced the Nixon administration to sign off on federal funding to save and extend the Point Reyes National Seashore, shelving National Park Service plans to sell off and develop a significant portion of the peninsula. For his work, he was named by Coro's Irvine Fellowship as a person who, quotes, makes the greatest contribution to California. In government service, he worked for then Senator Baer, subsequently for State Assembly Speaker Bob Moretti, and then Governor Jerry Brown. He was the project director and editor of the California Water Atlas, published in 1979 by the Governor's Office of Planning and Research. It came out in the wake of our state's record drought of 1976 and 77. It remains a significant work for water resource management in our state. And that's not all. Further establishing his place as the preeminent scholar of water policy in California, Bill also wrote Water and Power as a Rockefeller Fellow. This history of California water development was selected by the New York Times as one of the best books of 1982. As a journalist, Bill wrote extensively about state, local, and federal water policy for the Los Angeles Times and the Sacramento Bee. He joined the Bee's staff as an editor in 1986, eventually becoming its opinion editor before leaving the Bee in 1997. In that role as opinion editor, he showed the true balance of his approach to things. I remember talking to Greg Favre, who was running the paper at the time, and I always subscribed to the Bee and the Wall Street Journal to get both sides of issues from their editorial page. And I told Greg that his editorial page was irritating me. He figured he knew what I was talking about. He said, "What do you mean?" And I said, I told him I subscribe to your paper and the Wall Street Journal, so I get both sides of things. And your editorial page is beginning to irritate me because I agree with it sometimes. But that was Bill Kahrl, a very balanced guy. Bill was also co-founder of and contributing editor for the World's Fair Quarterly magazine and contributed articles to the California Historical Quarterly and Public Historian. Helping save Point Reyes was not his only achievement in natural resource conservation. Bill later worked on the creation of Headwaters Forest Reserve in Humboldt County, one of California's largest transfers of environmentally sensitive lands for public use, and on preservation of the Hearst Ranch on the Central Coast. In his later career, still not finished, Bill was a public relations consultant, working with public agencies, tribal governments, and private corporations involved with agriculture, educational reform, energy, water resource development, project siting, and land use. He remained active in California's public affairs to the end of his life, chairing the board of the Newcastle Fire Protection District, where he achieved funding and construction of a new fire station during his term. Finally, and most importantly, Bill was a family man. He encouraged his children's and grandchildren's pursuits and inspired them to think more deeply about current events and ideas. He loved jokes, was an avid and eloquent storyteller, and a voracious reader. And believe it or not, he loved discussing politics, as well as sports and culture with his family and friends. To round out this extensive resume, he played Santa Claus in his community's association Christmas celebration. Bill is survived by his loving wife of 57 years, Kathleen, who is with us in the gallery today with two of their sons, their children, Christina, who is editor of the sports for the San Francisco Chronicle, Benjamin and Justin, and they have grandchildren's Kayla, Peter, Bacoa, and Zamara. My story about Bill, I'd like to add, was drawn almost entirely by the obituary written by Christina. Please join me in adjourning in honor of a lifelong, accomplished life, very well lived, Bill Kahrl.